Welcome, curious minds, to another peaceful deep dive. Imagine this scenario. You finally lie down, the day is done, and you're, really ready for some profound rest. But then, almost on cue, your mind decides it's showtime. Suddenly, it's this high-speed highlight reel of worries, tasks, and every single what-if scenario you can possibly conjure.
Oh, definitely.
If your bed is ever transformed from, say, a sanctuary of sleep into a space of restless contemplation, then, well, this deep dive is crafted specifically for you.
It's a struggle we've all faced, isn't it? That moment when the external world quiets down and your internal world decides to dial up the volume.
Exactly.
So today we're embarking on a subtle exploration into the surprising power of your own mind to achieve truly restful sleep. And this isn't about forcing sleep, which, as we'll definitely uncover, often backfires quite spectacularly.
Right, it really does.
Instead, it's about making a quiet, intentional shift in your internal landscape. It's really about inviting tranquility rather than chasing sleep with this, frantic energy that just pushes it further away.
That's such a good way to put it. Inviting, not forcing. We've been looking at some incredible insights from sources like Mastering the Mind for Restful Sleep and Mindful Paths to Restful Sleep, and we've distilled some remarkably powerful mental techniques. And these aren't just abstract theories, they're practical, evidence-based tools you can integrate into your routine, things you can use right there in bed or even, earlier in the day to quietly guide yourself towards deeper, more restorative slumber.
Yeah, practical tools are key.
Think of this as a kind of calming companion, helping you understand how your inner world profoundly influences your sleep. We'll uncover the mechanisms behind why these methods work, and importantly, how you can seamlessly weave them into your life for lasting peace.
So let's begin by really understanding the foundational connection between your mind and your body when it comes to rest. It's a relationship that's far more intricate and influential than I think many people realize.
Okay, let's unpack this crucial connection. Our first stop in this deep dive is to understand the inner landscape of sleep, focusing on that vital mind-body interplay. So your body has this intricate internal system, the autonomic nervous system, or ANS,
Right, the inner
which quietly manages all our involuntary functions. Things like breathing, heart rate, even digestion. Think of it as your body's subtle operating system just running in the background. And it actually operates much like a gentle seesaw, constantly balancing two primary states.
That seesaw analogy is perfect because it really highlights the delicate balance involved. On one side, we have the sympathetic nervous system, or SNS.
Okay.
This is your body's fight or flight response. It's designed for alertness, for quick reactions, for handling stress. When you're experiencing anxiety or persistent stress, or even just a flurry of racing thoughts late at night, the SNS subtly ramps up your heart rate, elevates your blood pressure, and essentially keeps you in a state of heightened awareness. Our sources describe the state as antithetical to sleep.
Antithetical to sleep, so basically the opposite of what you need.
Exactly. It's fundamentally opposed to the conditions needed for rest. And it's not something you can just, switch off with a simple thought. It's a real physiological response happening in your body.
And on the other side of that seesaw, providing the essential counterbalance, is the parasympathetic nervous system, or PNS.
Right, it's the
This is your serene rest and digest mode. When the PNS is dominant, it actively promotes calm, it slows your heart rate, and quietly prepares your entire body for sleep. It's the system that whispers to your body, it's time to wind down, to repair, to restore. It's responsible for that deep relaxation and the physiological processes that lead to true rest.
And the core aim, really, of all the mental techniques we'll discuss today is precisely this: to consciously and subtly encourage the dominance to shift, to move from that alert, active SNS to the calming, restorative PNS. It's like dimming the internal lights in your system, signaling that it's safe, that it's okay to settle down for the night. You're not forcing it, but rather inviting your system to move into its natural resting state.
Inviting that shift. But here's where it gets truly interesting and often incredibly frustrating for so many people. There's this well-known vicious cycle of sleep effort and anxiety.
Oh, yes.
I wonder if you've ever found yourself lying there, just trying so hard to fall asleep.
Yeah.
And the harder you try, the more wide awake you become. It feels like a cruel joke your mind is playing on you sometimes.
It's absolutely a paradox, and it's such a common experience. This intense effort, this active trying to sleep, ironically creates performance anxiety and frustration.
Right, performance anxiety for sleep.
Exactly, and what does that do? It immediately activates your nervous system even more, pushing you deeper into that SNS fight or flight mode.
Oh, wow. So trying harder makes it worse physiologically.
Precisely. The result is that sleep feels even further away, and over time, the bed itself can become associated with stress and wakefulness instead of being a place of peace and rest.
That's a really important point, associating the bed with stress.
It is, and it's a powerful, subtle reminder that sometimes letting go of the struggle, letting go of the effort is actually the most effective path forward. It's counterintuitive, but really true in this case.
It reminds me of, trying to remember a name that's just on the tip of your tongue. The harder you concentrate, the more elusive it becomes.
Yeah.
Then the moment you finally give up and think about something else.
Plops right in. Exactly.
And speaking of minds that won't quit, the quiet of bedtime often acts as this stage for all the day's unprocessed emotions and thoughts to make their grand appearance. That leads to what we call a racing mind. Why do these thoughts choose that particular moment to surface? It feels so inconvenient.
Well, it's often because during the day, we're distracted, aren't we? We're busy, engaged with tasks, conversations, all sorts of external stimuli.
Right.
But when the external world quiets down, when you remove those distractions by lying in a dark, quiet room, your internal world often gets louder. All those thoughts, worries, and unresolved issues that maybe you pushed aside or just didn't have time for during the day, suddenly they have an open stage. Our sources suggest that simple mental hygiene, practiced earlier in the day, can significantly reduce this cognitive clutter that tends to show up at night.
Mental hygiene. That sounds intriguing. Beyond just, proactively addressing worries earlier, what else does that entail? Is it like brushing your mind's teeth?
Something like that. Beyond just writing down worries, which is crucial, mental hygiene can also mean setting clear boundaries, maybe around distressing news consumption, limiting how much negative information you take in, especially close to bedtime.
Okay, that makes sense.
It might also involve consciously savoring positive experiences during the day, really noticing them, feeling them. That builds a kind of reservoir of calming thoughts and feelings.
Building up the positive side.
Exactly. Or even just dedicating specific time each day to mindfully unwind without distractions. Maybe that's through a short walk in nature, listening to music, a quiet hobby, or just 5 minutes of quiet reflection. It's about consciously and consistently cleaning up your mind's environment, much like you would tidy your living space. It prevents that pileup of mental clutter that tends to manifest right when you want peace.
That's a great way to think about it, preventing the pileup. And this leads us to introduce a fascinating, profoundly counterintuitive strategy called paradoxical intention. We'll delve deeper into it later, but the core idea is that it directly addresses this performance anxiety you just described. It subtly removes the pressure to sleep.
Exactly.
This, in turn, allows sleep to come more naturally. This is a genuine shift in mindset, isn't it?
It truly is. Instead of trying to force sleep, you're almost gently inviting the opposite, which paradoxically opens the door wide for rest to happen.
Yeah. Okay, so now that we understand this intricate mind-body connection and the common pitfalls like that vicious cycle of sleep effort, let's explore some incredibly effective pathways to calm. These are the core mental techniques you can actively use right there in bed to help transition into a state that's really conducive to sleep.
Let's do it.
First up, breathing techniques. These are described as your immediate, direct pathway to calm.
Breathing exercises are absolutely foundational. They really are, because they directly influence your autonomic nervous system, as we discussed, and they also subtly redirect your mental focus away from those racing thoughts.
Okay.
They are incredibly simple, they're scientifically supported, and just profoundly effective for inducing relaxation. By consciously engaging in patterned breathing, you can activate your parasympathetic nervous system, that rest and digest mode we talked about, and you can even support the production of melatonin, which is your body's natural sleep hormone.
Wow, okay. Directly influencing hormones too.
Yeah. And the deliberate act of focusing on your breath, it offers this structured, calming mental task. It diverts your attention from worries and brings you right into the present moment, into your body. Beyond sleep, these techniques can improve airflow, enhance mood, reduce stress, lower blood pressure, and can even offer some relief from chronic pain.
That sounds remarkably powerful for something so, readily available to all of us all the time.
It really is.
Let's start with a classic, deep breathing, also known as diaphragmatic or belly breathing. How do you practice this one comfortably in bed?
Okay, so to practice this, you'll want to lie comfortably on your back. Having your knees bent can often help relax the lower back, maybe with a pillow under your head and another small one under your knees for gentle support.
Okay. Got it.
Then place one hand lightly on your upper chest and the other hand on your stomach, just below your rib cage. As you inhale slowly and deeply through your nose, the aim is to feel your stomach rise, pushing your lower hand gently upward while your chest remains relatively still.
So the breath goes deep into the belly.
Exactly. Then, as you exhale slowly through your mouth, maybe pursing your lips slightly, gently contract your abdominal muscles, feeling your stomach fall. The goal here is to really engage your diaphragm, that large muscle at the base of your lungs, for full deep breaths, rather than the shallow chest breathing many of us tend to do, especially when stressed.
Okay. And how long should you practice this for?
Practice this for about 5 to 10 minutes to start. That's usually a good amount of time to feel the effects. And you can gradually increase the duration as you become more comfortable with it.
And there's a simplified rhythmic variation for this, right? I think I've heard it called the breathing triangle.
Yes, that's a wonderful way to simplify it and add a soothing rhythm. With the breathing triangle, you inhale slowly for, say, 3 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
Hold your breath gently without strain for 3 seconds, and then exhale slowly for 3 seconds.
In for 3, hold for 3, out for 3. Simple.
Exactly. Repeat this cycle maybe 10 times, always focusing on those deep belly breaths, allowing your abdomen to expand and contract fully. The reason this works so effectively is that the deliberate, slow rhythm directly helps activate the PNS. It signals to your brain, hey, there's no immediate threat here. This lowers stress hormones like cortisol and calms your entire system down, creating an internal environment that's really conducive to rest.
That makes sense. Slowing things down physiologically. Now next, let's talk about the 4-7-8 breathing technique. This one is often called the relaxing breath. It seems to have gained a lot of popularity, and you hear people swear by it.
It has, and for very good reason. It's particularly effective at quickly down-regulating the nervous system, bringing about a sense of calm relatively fast.
Okay, how do we practice this one in bed?
So find a comfortable position. Lying down is perfect. A crucial element here, and this is key, is to place the tip of your tongue against the ridge of tissue on the roof of your mouth, just behind your top front teeth.
Okay, tongue position is important.
Yes, and keep it there throughout the entire exercise. Now first, exhale completely through your mouth, making a soft whoosh sound, really let all that air out.
Right.
Then close your lips and inhale silently and gently through your nose for a mental count of 4.
Inhale for 4.
Hold your breath, again gently, for a count of 7.
5 for 7.
Then make another long, sustained, whooshing exhale from your mouth for a count of 8.
Exhale for 8. Whoosh.
That completes one cycle. You'll repeat this for 4 full breaths initially. Just 4 breaths can make a noticeable difference.
That extended exhale, the 8 count, really feels like it's releasing something deep inside. What's a profound insight behind that specific ratio, the 4-7-8? It feels very deliberate, very precise.
It's quite ingenious, actually. The specific ratio, that 4-7-8 pattern, it compels your mind to focus intently on your breath. It requires concentration.
So it occupies the mind.
Exactly. This deliberate focus acts as a powerful mental anchor, effectively diverting your attention from any worries, ruminations, or that racing mind that might otherwise be circling. But the extended exhale, the 8 part, that's where the real magic happens physiologically.
Okay.
It powerfully activates the parasympathetic nervous system, particularly through the vagus nerve. This nerve runs from your brainstem down to your abdomen and acts as a direct pathway to induce calm.
The vagus nerve.
Interesting. By prolonging the exhale significantly longer than the inhale, you're quite literally slowing your heart rate and lowering your blood pressure. You're soothing a racing heart and calming frazzled nerves. It's like gently applying the brakes to your entire nervous system. It's not just about getting more air in, it's about signaling safety and deep relaxation to your most fundamental physiological systems.
That's fascinating. Okay, any specific tips or cautions for this one, especially for someone trying it for the first time? Maybe someone listening right now wants to try it.
Yes, definitely a few things to keep in mind. You can adjust the counting speed to your comfort level. The ratio 4-7-8 is more important than the absolute seconds. So if counting that slowly feels too long initially, you can count faster, just maintain the proportion.
Got it. Ratio over speed.
Right. Also, a slight lightheadedness might occur initially, especially the first few times you do it. This is usually just due to the change in oxygen and carbon dioxide levels and typically fades with consistent practice.
Okay, so don't worry too much if that happens.
Not usually, no. And consistency is truly key to building its effectiveness. Maybe try practicing it during the day when you're not actually trying to fall asleep, just to get comfortable with the rhythm and the technique.
Good idea. Practice when the pressure's off.
Exactly. And most importantly, avoid straining. The goal is easy, gentle, controlled breath, not discomfort or forcing it. If you feel significantly dizzy or breathless, just shorten the counts or take a break. The whole point is to promote calm, not create new stress.
Makes perfect sense. Promote calm, don't add stress. What about box breathing or square breathing? That sounds very straightforward and structured, maybe easier for some.
It is, and its simplicity is part of its power. It's remarkably effective for inducing a sense of balance and calm. To practice this, just lie comfortably in bed. It's a simple 4-part cycle, and each part lasts for the same duration, usually 4 seconds.
Okay, like the sides of a box.
Exactly. So you inhale gently for 4 seconds. Then you hold your breath gently without tension for 4 seconds. Then you exhale slowly for 4 seconds. And finally, you wait, holding your breath out with lungs empty for 4 seconds. Then you just repeat this square cycle.
Inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 4, wait 4.
Precisely. This simple balance technique helps regulate the autonomic nervous system. It brings balance, it leads to reduced stress, lower blood pressure, and a profound sense of calm and control. It's like creating a mental and physiological pause button, letting things settle.
I like that, a pause button. And for those who might be familiar with yogic practices, there's alternate nostril breathing or annulum vilom. Can you adapt that for bedtime use? It seems like something you'd normally do sitting up.
You absolutely can adapt it, although yes, it's traditionally done while seated for spinal alignment. But you can definitely do it lying down. To adapt it for bed, just lie comfortably. Relax your left hand, maybe resting it on your belly or side.
Okay.
Raise your right hand towards your face. You can place your index and middle fingers gently between your eyebrows. This is sometimes called the third eye point. Your thumb and ring finger will be the ones used to gently close the nostrils.
Right thumb, right ring finger. Got it.
Gently close your eyes. Take a deep, settling breath in and out through both nostrils first. Now, use your right thumb to gently close your right nostril. Then inhale slowly and smoothly through the left nostril.
And through the left.
Once you've inhaled fully, gently close the left nostril with your ring finger, so both nostrils are briefly closed, just a gentle hold.
Hold briefly.
Then, open the right nostril by lifting your thumb, and exhale slowly and completely through the right side. Pause gently at the end of the exhale.
Out through the right. Pause.
Then inhale slowly through the right nostril.
In through the right.
Hold both nostrils closed again briefly.
Hold again.
Finally, open the left nostril by lifting your ring finger and exhale slowly and completely through the left side. Pause again.
Out through the left. Pause. And that's one round.
That's one full round. You continue alternating in this slow, rhythmic pattern, maybe for 5 to 10 rounds or for a few minutes. This ancient yogic practice is believed to profoundly foster a sense of harmony, perhaps between the two hemispheres of the brain. It enhances focus, calms emotions, and deeply contributes to overall stress reduction by balancing your internal energy or prana.
It sounds like there's really an entire toolkit of breathing techniques there, each with its own unique feel and focus. The key, as you said earlier, seems to be finding what quietly resonates with you on any given night.
Absolutely. These various techniques offer a range of approaches, allowing you to discover what feels most natural and effective for your unique body and mind at that moment. Perhaps one day the precision of 4-7-8 feels perfect, and another day, simple, deep belly breathing is what your body craves.
Right. Listen to your body.
Exactly. And with all of them, consistent, quiet practice is truly key for building their effectiveness over time. They are skills that deepen with regular engagement. They become more automatic and potent.
Okay, moving on from breathing, which helps calm our internal rhythm, let's explore progressive muscle relaxation, or PMR. This sounds like it's very directly connected to releasing physical tension, which, as you mentioned, often accompanies mental stress. They seem linked.
They are incredibly linked, and PMR is a powerfully simple yet scientifically robust tool for addressing that link directly. PMR helps you not just release physical tension, but maybe even more importantly, it helps you first recognize it. We often hold tension without even realizing it.
This is true. Shoulders up by the ears.
Exactly, that kind of thing. And that physical tension is almost always directly linked to mental stress and anxiety. PMR involves systematically tensing, just briefly and gently, and then consciously relaxing different muscle groups throughout your body. This cultivates a deep, mindful awareness of the difference between the feeling of tension and the feeling of release.
Okay.
This isn't just about the muscles relaxing, it's about teaching your brain to truly recognize and let go of that held tension.
So how does tensing muscles actually help you relax more effectively? That still seems a little counterintuitive when you're trying to unwind and sleep.
It does seem odd at first glance, but it's based on a clever physiological mechanism. The act of deliberately tensing muscles first, even just for a second or two, causes them to release more completely when you then consciously let go.
Ah, okay, like getting a deeper release after the contraction.
Precisely. Think of it like stretching a rubber band really taut before letting it snap back to its fully relaxed state. This process quite literally reduces sympathetic arousal, that fight or flight response, and sends a clear, unmistakable signal to your brain that your body is safe and relaxed. It creates what's called a somatic cognitive feedback loop.
A somatic cognitive feedback loop.
Okay.
Okay, it sounds quite academic again. Could you simplify that a bit for us? What does that mean in plain English?
Of course, happy to. Somatic just refers to the body, anything related to the physical body, and cognitive refers to the mind, thinking, perception.
Body and mind. Okay.
So, a somatic cognitive feedback loop simply means that your body's physical state directly influences your mental state and vice versa. In this case, your body's physical relaxation, the muscles letting go, sends calming signals directly up to your brain.
Ah, the body tells the brain it's okay to relax.
Exactly. The brain gets the message. All clear down here, time to relax. Which, in turn, reinforces mental calm and further deepens the physical relaxation. It's a positive reinforcing cycle. This technique helps you consciously leverage that powerful two-way connection between body and mind.
That makes perfect sense now. Body talks to brain, brain talks to body. So if someone is in bed, ready to try PMR, what are the detailed steps they should follow for an effective practice? How do they actually do it?
Okay, first, for preparation. Lie comfortably in bed, maybe on your back if that works for you. Gently close your eyes to minimize distractions and draw your focus inward.
Eyes closed. Comfortable.
Next, establish a relaxed abdominal breathing pattern, just like we discussed earlier. Focus on the breath flowing gently in and out of your belly with ease. This provides a calm foundation.
Start with the breath.
Yes. Then, if your mind wanders during the process, which it inevitably will.
Happens to everyone.
Absolutely. Simply and gently redirect any thoughts back to the process, back to the sensations in your body, without frustration or self-judgment. The key is gentle awareness. A sense of curiosity, not critique or trying to do it perfectly.
Gentle awareness, okay.
Then comes the systematic tension and release. You'll typically begin with your face or maybe your feet, and then subtly move through your body section by section. For each major muscle group, let's say starting with your forehead, then your eyes and cheeks, your jaw, your neck, shoulders, upper arms, forearms, hands, and fingers.
Working your way down.
Right, or up depending on where you start. Then chest, abdomen, buttocks, thighs, calves, and finally your feet and toes. For each group, you'll breathe in while subtly contracting the muscles for just 1 to 2 seconds. The contraction should be firm, noticeable, but never painful or straining. Just enough to feel the tension.
Gentle tension, not strain.
Exactly. Immediately after that brief contraction, as you breathe out, completely relax and release all the tension in that muscle group. Really take a moment here to notice that soft, melting sensation of relaxation spreading through the area. Pay attention to the contrast between the feeling of tension and the feeling of release. That contrast is key.
Contrast is key. Okay. And how long should someone keep this up to feel the full effect? Do you go through the whole body once?
Yes, you typically go through the whole body, focusing on each muscle group. Continue this entire cycle, moving systematically through all the groups for approximately 10 to 20 minutes. That allows enough time to really deepen the relaxation.
10 to 20 minutes.
After completing the full cycle, take a minute or two just to lie still and gently scan your entire body with your awareness. Notice the profound difference in relaxation from when you started. Feel the sense of heaviness, warmth, and calm. Studies consistently show PMR reduces anxiety and improves sleep, often significantly, precisely because it addresses both the physical and mental components of tension.
That sounds really grounding. Any specific tips or cautions for PMR? What if, say, someone has a sore shoulder? Should they tense that?
That's a great question. Some tips first. Using guided audio recordings can be incredibly helpful initially, especially when you're learning the sequence of muscle groups. It takes the guesswork out of it.
Good idea for beginners.
Yes. And consistent practice builds a heightened body awareness over time. This allows you to proactively notice and address tension throughout your day, not just at night when it might be interfering with sleep. It helps you catch tension creeping in before it becomes deeply ingrained.
Become more aware during the day, too.
Exactly. Now, a key caution is don't strain, never tense to the point of pain, If an area is already painful or injured, like that sore shoulder example, you should not tense it. Instead, you can just bring your gentle awareness to that area, observe it without judgment, and simply imagine it relaxing deeply as you exhale, or you can just skip tensing that area altogether.
Okay, modify if needed, don't cause pain.
Absolutely. The goal is always to end the practice with fully relaxed muscles, leaving you feeling heavier, calmer, and more comfortably grounded in your bed, ready for sleep.
Now let's transition to a practice that's really all about cultivating present moment awareness, gently training our minds to be here now. Mindfulness and meditation. This sounds like a subtle, yet potentially very powerful training for the mind itself.
It truly is a gentle training, and the emphasis is often on observation rather than active doing. Meditation practices subtly train your mind to observe thoughts, feelings, and physical sensations as they arise, but without getting attached to them or judging them.
Observing without judging, that sounds hard.
It takes practice, but cultivating this calm, non-reactive state is profoundly conducive to sleep. These practices help prepare both your body and mind for rest. The research suggests they can potentially lead to faster sleep onset, longer sleep duration, and deeper, more restorative sleep, mainly by allowing you to relax and gently release the day's worries and all that mental clutter we talked about.
And what's happening physiologically in our bodies when we engage in these practices? Is it just about feeling calm, or is there more going on?
Oh, it's far more than just a subjective feeling of calm, although that's certainly part of it. When you engage regularly in meditation, you encourage slower, more regulated breathing. This, as we've discussed, directly lowers your heart rate via the parasympathetic nervous system.
Right, the PNS again.
Your body also subtly increases important sleep-regulating hormones like melatonin, which signals to your body it's time for sleep, and serotonin, which is a precursor to melatonin and also acts as a mood stabilizer.
Increasing sleep hormones naturally.
Exactly. Blood pressure tends to reduce, and specific brain regions associated with wakefulness and the default mode network, that network often active during mind wandering and rumination, tend to quiet down. Meanwhile, other brain areas involved in relaxation and the stages of sleep become more active. These physiological changes very closely mirror the natural transitions your body makes as it prepares for and enters sleep. So in essence, you're helping your system mimic the natural path to slumber.
Wow, helping the body do what it naturally wants to do. Let's dive into mindfulness meditation specifically. How do you practice this in bed to prepare for sleep?
Okay, to practice mindfulness meditation in bed, first, as always, ensure your environment is quiet and as free of distractions as possible. Lie comfortably, perhaps on your back or your side, whatever feels most restful for you, and gently close your eyes.
Comfortable, eyes closed.
Begin to breathe slowly and deeply, focusing your attention gently on the sensation of your breath. Feel the air moving in and out. You could try a specific rhythm if it helps anchor your focus, like maybe inhaling for a count of 10, holding gently for 10, and exhaling slowly for 10, perhaps repeating this 5 times to settle in. Or you can simply let your breath find its own natural, easy rhythm without controlling it.
Focus on the breath.
Yes. As you do this, notice your breath. Notice the feeling of your body resting on the bed. Notice any subtle physical sensations, maybe warmth, coolness, tingling. And if thoughts or emotions arise, and they certainly will, that's what minds do.
They always do.
Right. Simply observe them without judgment. Acknowledge their presence, perhaps even silently labeling them like, there's a thought about tomorrow's meeting, or there's a feeling of worry. And then gently, kindly return your focus back to your breathing or the sensations in your body. The key is not to fight the thoughts or get angry at yourself for having them, but to gently detach from their storyline.
Gently detach. How long should someone aim for when starting out with this? It sounds like it could take a while to get the hang of.
Start small. Just 3 to 5 minutes before bed can be beneficial, especially when you're beginning. Even that short practice can help calm the system. As you become more comfortable and adept at noticing thoughts and returning your focus, you can gradually increase the time to maybe 15 or 20 minutes.
Start small, build up.
Exactly. The reason it works so effectively, according to the research, is that it reduces insomnia symptoms by decreasing those ruminative thought patterns and lessening emotional reactivity. It helps you become more of an observer of your thoughts rather than being constantly caught up and swept away by their narrative. This fosters a profound state of calm and non-reactivity, which is exactly the fertile ground sleep needs to grow.
Becoming the observer. I like that. Now, another powerful meditation technique is the body scan. This sounds like it also helps with physical awareness and releasing tension, maybe similar to PMR, but with a different focus. more observation-based.
You're absolutely right. It shares some common ground with PMR in that it involves bringing awareness to the body, but the emphasis shifts more towards mindful observation and acceptance rather than active tensing and releasing.
Observation and acceptance, okay.
For a body scan meditation in bed, again, lie comfortably and close your eyes. Breathe slowly and deeply for a few moments to settle. Begin by noticing the overall weight of your body on the bed, feeling the points of contact, your heels, calves, back, head.
Feel the contact points.
Then systematically bring your focused awareness to each part of your body. You can start from your toes and slowly move up, or start from the top of your head and slowly move down, whichever feels more natural. Move through every area. Your feet, ankles, calves, knees, thighs, hips, pelvis, abdomen, lower back, upper back, chest, shoulders, arms, hands, fingers, neck, jaw, face, eyes, forehead, scalp.
Covering the whole body systematically.
Yes. As you focus gently on each area, simply notice with curiosity any sensations you find there. This could be warmth, coolness, tingling, pressure, tightness, ease, tension, or even pain. Observe these sensations without judgment, without needing to change them necessarily.
It's just noticing.
Just noticing. And as you exhale while focusing on a particular area, you can consciously invite that area to soften and relax. Imagine breathing into the area and breathing out any tension you might find there. But the primary goal is the awareness itself.
So what's the main benefit of going through the body like that, part by part, just noticing?
It profoundly cultivates mindful awareness of your physical state in the present moment. And through that awareness, it subtly helps to release muscle tension throughout your entire system, often tension you weren't even aware you were holding. Crucially, like mindfulness meditation, it also serves as an excellent distraction from worries.
Ah, another way to anchor the mind.
Exactly. It anchors your attention so firmly in your body's present sensations that it becomes much harder for the mind to drift off into anxious thoughts about the past or future. This naturally increases your sense of calm and shifts your brain out of its active, problem-solving thinking mode.
Any tips for doing the body scan?
Go slowly. Spend maybe 20 to 60 seconds on each area, allowing yourself time to truly feel and release. Use your breath as an anchor throughout the practice, a gentle guide for your awareness. If your mind wanders off, which it definitely will,
It always does.
simply and gently, without self-criticism, return your focus to the body part you were on. Guided audio recordings can be incredibly helpful for this practice, especially when you're starting, as they lead you through the process. And again, a caution. Observe any pain you find with gentle awareness, but don't force tension or try to push through it. The goal is awareness and gentle release, not strain or discomfort. It's a practice in kindly observing and letting go.
That sounds very calming. And for beginners, or even for experienced practitioners who just want a specific journey or focus, guided meditation can be a fantastic way to start or enhance the practice, right?
Absolutely. Guided meditation is wonderful. It involves listening to a pre-recorded audio track where a narrator or guide leads you through a specific meditation practice. This could be a body scan, a mindfulness exercise, a visualization, or something else entirely.
So the guide does the work, basically.
They provide the structure and direction, yes. To practice this in bed, choose a guided recording that appeals to you. There are countless apps, websites, and online resources offering guided meditations specifically for sleep.
Lots of options out there.
Definitely. Dim your phone screen, or better yet, put it face down to avoid that disruptive light exposure. Lie comfortably. Simply listen to the guide's voice, breathe deeply, and allow yourself to follow the narrator's suggestions and cues as best you can. If your mind wanders, just gently return your attention to the recording when you notice. It's excellent for beginners because it provides a clear, structured pathway to quiet the mind, offering something specific and often soothing to focus on. Regular practice with guided meditations has been shown to significantly improve sleep quality by providing a consistent anchor for relaxation each night.
Okay, next up, we're moving into the fascinating realm of imagination with guided imagery and visualization. This sounds like it harnesses the mind's power in a very creative, almost dreamlike way, perhaps more active than meditation.
It truly does harness that power, and it can be remarkably effective. It is often a bit more active than simple mindfulness, yes. This technique leverages your mind's profound capacity to create vivid, calming mental scenes, which can subtly yet powerfully influence your physical and emotional states. It's about consciously, deliberately conjuring detailed mental images. But crucially, it's not just about images.
Oh, what else is involved?
It involves actively engaging all your senses in the imagined scene. What sounds are present? What smells? Are there any tastes? What are the physical sensations, temperature, texture? You're essentially building a rich, multisensory inner world, a peaceful escape.
Building an inner world. So how does simply imagining something peaceful, even with all the senses, actually help you fall asleep? It seems almost too simple, maybe.
The mechanism is quite sophisticated, actually, even if the practice feels simple. Imagining a peaceful scene subtly induces calm, primarily by shifting your attention away from stress, worry, and the immediate external environment. It engages your mind so completely, especially when you involve multiple senses.
All right, it makes it more immersive.
Exactly. It makes it so immersive that it effectively detaches your focus from worries and anxieties. You're actively creating a positive, calming internal experience. When your brain is fully occupied by constructing and exploring these rich, calming sensory details, it literally has less cognitive bandwidth available for rumination or anxious thoughts.
Crowding out the worries with peace.
You could put it that way, yes. The more specific and multi-sensory your visualization, the more therapeutic it's likely to be because it creates a deeper, more compelling mental escape. And the research backs this up. Studies consistently show that guided imagery can significantly improve sleep quality, including things like total sleep time, how quickly you fall asleep, sleep latency, and reducing how often you wake up after falling asleep. It's a wonderful, gentle, non-invasive therapy you can do right in your own bed. It's a profound example of how your mind can create its own calming reality, even when your body might feel restless or your thoughts are racing.
That's really compelling. Can you walk us through the instructions for imagining a calming scene, really engaging all 5 senses? What does that actually look like when you're lying there trying to do it?
Of course. Let's break it down. First, find that quiet, comfortable spot to lie down. Close your eyes gently. Take several deep, slow abdominal breaths just to center yourself and signal relaxation.
Settle in first.
Yes. Now, begin to build your scene in your mind's eye, consciously engaging all 5 senses in this imagined world.
Yeah, all 5. Let's go through them.
For sight, what colors do you see? What shapes? What kind of light is there? Perhaps it's the shimmering turquoise blue of a tranquil tropical ocean, the soft golden sand on a warm beach, or maybe dappled sunlight filtering down through the leaves in a peaceful ancient forest. Make it vivid.
Vivid sights. Got it.
For sound, what gentle sounds do you hear? Maybe the rhythmic lapping of gentle waves against the shore, birds chirping softly in the distance, the quiet rustling of leaves in a warm breeze, or even the comforting crackle of a distant, cozy fireplace.
Peaceful sounds. Okay.
For smell, what scents are present in this place? Is it the salty tang of sea air, the fresh, clean scent of pine needles, the sweet fragrance of blooming lavender or jasmine, or perhaps the earthy aroma of damp soil after a gentle rain?
Engaging the sense of smell. Good one.
For taste, are there any subtle tastes associated with this scene? Perhaps the faint taste of sea salt carried on the air, or the clean, crisp taste of fresh mountain air, or maybe the sweetness of a wild berry you imagine picking.
Taste. Okay, more subtle but possible.
And importantly, for touch or sensation, what do things feel like against your skin or under your body? Imagine the warmth of the sun on your skin, the feeling of warm sand beneath your body, a cool, gentle breeze stroking your face, the softness of cool grass between your toes, or the gentle pressure and security of soft blankets around you.
Feeling the sensation.
And finally, consider movement or feeling within the scene. How does your body feel in this imagined place? Does it feel light, relaxed, perhaps even floating? Or maybe heavy, grounded, and deeply secure? Utterly at peace. Allow yourself to gently explore the scene, noticing every small detail you can conjure. Stay immersed in this scene for several minutes, maybe start with 5 minutes, aiming for 15 eventually, all while continuing to breathe deeply and effortlessly, letting the peace of the scene wash over you.
That sounds lovely. Really building a whole experience. And there's a specific form of this called safe place visualization. How does that differ slightly from just a general calming scene?
Safe place visualization is a more specific application, often used in therapy as well, centered very intentionally on creating feelings of security, protection, and profound peace. Here, you specifically imagine a comforting, real or imaginary safe place.
Real or imaginary? Okay.
It could be a beloved childhood treehouse, a secluded, peaceful beach you once visited, a cozy armchair by a warm fire, or even a completely fantastical, impossible sanctuary, maybe a crystal cave or a cloud palace. Whatever represents safety and comfort to you. The core purpose is to create a reliable mental refuge that can buffer stress and anxiety, a place where you feel utterly protected, untouchable, and deeply at ease.
A mental refuge. That sounds powerful. Any final tips or cautions for visualization?
Yes. Using guided audio recordings for imagery can be really helpful, especially initially, to help you immerse more deeply and stay focused, particularly if you find your mind prone to wandering off.
Guided audio again, helpful.
If your mind does stray during the visualization, simply and gently redirect your focus back to the scene, back to the sensory details, without judgment or frustration. Just guide it back. Practice definitely builds effectiveness here. The more you do it, the easier it becomes to access these peaceful states, and the more potent the visualizations become over time.
Practice makes perfect, or at least more effective.
Exactly. A key caution, though, is to consciously avoid images or scenarios that might inadvertently trigger any strong or unsettling emotions, even positive ones if they're too stimulating. Tailor the scene specifically to what you find profoundly soothing, calming, and comforting. It's your personal sanctuary, so make it work for you.
Your personal sanctuary. Okay,
Sure.
even with all these wonderful techniques, breathing, PMR, meditation, visualization, for many, the biggest obstacle to sleep is still that darn overactive mind, the racing mind that just won't quit when the lights go out.
Yes, that racing mind can be so persistent.
So let's talk about some specific strategies designed to quietly address those nighttime echoes, those thoughts that keep bouncing around.
This is absolutely crucial because, as we mentioned earlier, the quiet of bedtime often acts as that perfect stage for all the day's unprocessed emotions, worries, and to-do lists to make their grand, often very uninvited appearance.
Right when you least want them.
Exactly. So these next techniques are specifically designed to subtly address those intrusive thoughts and anxieties that tend to emerge when the world outside finally goes quiet. They are really about managing that internal dialogue proactively.
Okay, managing the dialogue. One really popular and I've heard remarkably effective one is the brain dump. It sounds exactly like what it is, just getting it all out.
It is, and it's a deceptively simple yet surprisingly powerful practice. To implement this effectively, you need to set aside maybe 15 to 20 minutes during the daytime or early evening. The key is well before bed. You don't want to do this right as you're trying to wind down, as that can be activating.
Do it earlier, got it.
Sit down with a pen and paper, or open a digital note if you prefer, and simply write down everything that is bothering you or floating around in your head. This includes problems you need to solve, tasks that need to be done, worries about the future, fears, unresolved thoughts from a conversation, anything. Just get it all out.
Everything, no filter.
Pretty much. The benefits are significant. This technique helps your brain literally release thoughts because they've been acknowledged and externalized onto the paper or screen. It's like telling your brain, okay, I see this, it's noted.
Gives it permission to let go.
Exactly. It grants you psychological permission to temporarily stop worrying about them because they are now recorded somewhere safe, and you know you can revisit them later during the day when you're better equipped to deal with them. It's a proactive, highly effective measure against rumination and prevents that cognitive overload from spilling into your precious sleep space. It's like clearing your mental inbox before you try to shut down for the night.
Clearing the mental inbox. I love that analogy. Okay, that makes so much sense. It feels like a really practical way to declutter your mind before bed. Another cognitive strategy mentioned is distinguishing real problems from hypothetical worries. This sounds like it helps with the quality of our thoughts, not just the quantity.
It does, absolutely. And it's a core technique often used in cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, or CBTI, which is considered the gold standard treatment. You essentially learn to consciously categorize your thoughts as they arise, especially the worrisome ones,
Categorize them how?
into basically two buckets. Real problems. These are things that are actionable that you can actually do something about, even if not right now. For example, I have a big presentation tomorrow and I really need to review my notes one more time. That's potentially actionable.
Okay, actionable problems.
Versus hypothetical worries, these are often the what-if scenarios. They're frequently catastrophic, future-oriented, and largely beyond your immediate control. Things like, what if I completely bomb the presentation and mess up my career and then I lose my job and can't pay my rent? You see the spiral.
Oh yeah, the catastrophe spiral.
Yeah,
Very familiar.
right. The profound benefit of making this distinction is that you can acknowledge the hypothetical worries. You don't try to pretend they don't exist, but then you consciously and subtly practice letting them go, maybe telling yourself, okay, that's a hypothetical worry, not something I can solve right now. And then you shift your focus and energy back to what is actually within your control, what is actionable, even if the action is just to schedule time tomorrow to review those notes.
Acknowledge but don't dwell on the hypotheticals.
Exactly. It empowers you to release what you can't influence at that moment, freeing up precious mental energy and space, reducing that feeling of being overwhelmed by uncontrollable possibilities.
That takes practice, I imagine.
It definitely does. It's a cognitive skill.
And when thoughts are really spiraling, maybe those hypothetical worries have taken over, and your mind feels like a runaway train, grounding exercises like the popular 5-4-3-2-1 method can be incredibly effective at bringing your mind gently back to the present moment, right here, right now. How do you do that one in bed?
This is an excellent technique for quickly pulling your mind out of an anxiety spiral or just general overwhelm. It anchors you in the present through your senses. Lie comfortably in bed, you don't even need to move much. Then systematically notice.
Okay, systematically.
5 things you can see right now, even in a dim room. Without moving your head too much, just let your eyes land on 5 things. Perhaps the shape of the ceiling, the shadows on the wall, the outline of a piece of furniture, the fabric of your blanket, a sliver of light under the door.
5 things you see. Okay.
Next, become aware of 4 things you can touch or feel right now. Notice the texture of your sheets against your skin, the softness or firm knot of your pillow under your head, the feel of your own skin where it touches itself, or maybe your hair against your neck or face.
4 things you touch.
Then tune in and listen for 3 things you can hear. This might require some quiet attention, perhaps your own breathing, the gentle hum of a fan or refrigerator, distant traffic sounds from outside, the house settling, or even the sound of silence itself.
3 things you hear.
Got it. Next, identify 2 things you can smell. This might be subtle. Perhaps the scent of your laundry detergent on your pillowcase, the fresh scent of your room air, or maybe a lingering scent from lotion or soap.
2 things you smell. Almost there.
And finally, bring awareness to 1 thing you can taste. This could be the lingering taste from brushing your teeth earlier, or simply the neutral taste present in your mouth. Just notice it.
1 thing you taste. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Exactly. These sensory grounding exercises subtly but very effectively shift your focus away from anxious or racing thoughts and promote deep relaxation by anchoring your awareness firmly in your immediate sensory experience. It makes it very difficult for your mind to simultaneously ruminate on abstract worries when it's fully engaged with concrete sensations.
Anchoring in the senses. I can see how that would work. Now, let's go back to that really counterintuitive one we mentioned earlier. Paradoxical intention, often called the gentle, try-to-stay-awake approach. How exactly does this work, and how does it not just make you more anxious about not sleeping?
This is truly one of the most fascinating and, importantly, clinically supported techniques for certain types of insomnia, precisely because it directly targets that performance anxiety. We discussed the anxiety about not being able to sleep.
Targeting the anxiety itself.
Exactly. To practice this in bed, you lie down comfortably with the lights off, just as you normally would when preparing for sleep. But here's the twist. Instead of trying to fall asleep, you subtly shift your intention. You gently try to remain awake for as long as possible.
Try to stay awake. Seriously.
Seriously, but gently. You're not forcing yourself to stay awake with bright lights or activity. You're lying there comfortably, eyes closed or softly open in the dark, and you might mentally say to yourself, okay, I'm just going to stay awake for a little while. Or perhaps you mentally count the minutes you stay awake, or simply lie there and observe the ceiling or the darkness without making any effort whatsoever to fall asleep.
No effort to sleep. Just be awake.
Exactly. The profound benefit of this counterintuitive technique is that it directly reduces, often eliminates, the performance anxiety associated with trying to sleep. When that active effort is removed, when the pressure to make yourself fall asleep is completely gone, the internal pressure eases dramatically. This allows sleep, which is a natural biological process, to occur far more naturally and easily. It essentially bypasses that mental block, that struggle.
Wow. Removing the struggle lets sleep happen.
Precisely. Clinical reviews actually rate paradoxical intention as a strongly supported insomnia treatment for sleep onset insomnia because it targets the very psychological core of the problem for many people, that effort and anxiety cycle.
So you're essentially tricking your brain out of its anxiety about sleeping by changing the goal.
In a way, yes. You remove the pressure by flipping the objective. When the goal becomes staying awake, even though you secretly hope to sleep, your mind is less resistant, less watchful, and less prone to that ironic rebound effect where trying not to think about something makes you think about it more.
Any tips for trying this?
Just approach it with a relaxed, almost playful or curious attitude. Don't get tense about trying to stay awake either. If you happen to fall asleep while trying to stay awake, well, great. great. That's exactly the intended outcome. You can even use a subtle, gentle mantra like, I am pleasantly awake, or just awake to reinforce the intention, but keep it very light and non-striving.
Keep it light. Any cautions?
The only real caution is if you find that this specific approach, for whatever personal reason, actually causes more anxiety for you, which is rare but possible for some individuals, then it's perfectly fine to just stop and switch to another strategy like breathing or visualization. Always listen to your own body and mind's response.
Good advice. Okay, what about thought stopping and something called articulatory suppression? These sound a bit more direct, perhaps for very persistent, specific thoughts.
They're more direct interventions, yes, and they target that mental chatter quite head-on. With thought stopping, the traditional idea is to notice an unhelpful or repetitive thought and then mentally shout, "Stop PP," or vividly visualize a big red stop sign to immediately interrupt the thought pattern. Then, you consciously try to replace that thought with a more neutral or positive one.
Mentally shout SOP.
Yes. However, there's significant caution here that's important to mention. A fair amount of research suggests that actively trying to suppress thoughts can sometimes backfire. It can lead to what psychologists call an ironic rebound effect, where the thought you're trying to suppress actually becomes more frequent or persistent later on.
Oh, like the don't think of a pink elephant problem.
Exactly like that. So while thought stopping sounds intuitive and might offer very brief, temporary relief, it's generally not recommended as a primary strategy, especially for dealing with intense anxiety or obsessive thoughts, as it can potentially make things worse in the long run for some people.
Okay, so maybe use thought stopping with caution, if at all. What about the other one, articulatory suppression? That sounds technical.
It sounds technical, but the practice is simpler. It's also known as thought blocking, and it's often a more subtle and frequently more effective approach for persistent verbal thoughts, that inner monologue that won't shut up.
Okay, how does that work?
Here, you silently repeat a very simple, neutral, non-arousing word over and over in your head. Something incredibly boring like the and butter, or a place name like Paris, whatever feels neutral to you. You repeat it silently about 3 to 4 times per second.
Repeating the silently.
Exactly. The benefit of this method is that it strategically occupies the verbal processing part of your brain, the bit that handles language and inner speech, with this benign, meaningless, repetitive task. It creates a sort of mental white noise.
Occupies the language center.
Precisely. This effectively crowds out other unwanted verbal mental chatter and makes it genuinely difficult for other intrusive verbal thoughts to intrude and take hold. It demands just enough mental effort to prevent other thoughts from gaining traction, but not so much effort that it becomes stimulating or stressful itself.
That's clever. Using a boring task to block worries. Okay, what about cognitive refocusing? This sounds somewhat similar, maybe like a more structured distraction.
It is indeed a structured form of subtle distraction, but with a very intentional calming and non-stimulating effect. To practice this, first, you consciously choose 2 or 3 neutral, non-stressful mental topics before you even get into bed. These should be subjects that can hold your attention gently, but aren't emotionally charged or overly stimulating.
What kind of topics work best?
It could be things like mentally rehearsing your favorite recipes in detail, step by step, or replaying the gentle plots of a calm TV show or movie you enjoy, recalling sports scores or statistics if that's relaxing for you, or even mentally walking through the details of a past peaceful vacation, the sights, the sounds, the feelings. The key is neutral and gently engaging.
Neutral and gently engaging. Okay, so you have your topics ready. Then what?
Then, at bedtime, when you notice your mind starting to wander or worry, you deliberately concentrate fully on one of these chosen topics. Really get into the details. Imagine the steps of the recipe, visualize the scenes of the show, recall the specifics of the place.
Immerse yourself in the neutral topic.
Yes. If a stressful or intrusive thought enters your mind while you're doing this, and it probably will simply and gently let it go. Acknowledge its presence briefly without dwelling on it, and then consciously, deliberately return your focus back to your chosen neutral topic. Continue this refocusing process for maybe 15 to 30 minutes, or simply until sleep arrives naturally.
And why does this specific type of structured neutral distraction work so well for promoting sleep?
It works because it directly replaces those arousing, activating, or worrisome thoughts with calm, unstimulating subjects. It's not about forcing sleep, And it's not about suppressing thoughts in that potentially problematic way. Instead, it's about subtly retraining your brain's focus at sleep onset. It helps to break those ingrained cycles of anxiety and rumination that keep you awake.
Giving the brain a better, calmer alternative.
Exactly. Instead of fighting your thoughts, you're giving your mind a more appealing, serene alternative to gently focus on. Pilot studies have actually shown that cognitive refocusing can dramatically improve sleep, especially for those individuals whose primary obstacle to sleep is indeed a racing, worrying mind.
That's really encouraging. Any tips for making it work?
Pick topics that genuinely hold your attention without being exciting or upsetting. Keep it light, neutral, and easy to recall or imagine. If you find that anxious thoughts keep persistently breaking through despite your refocusing efforts, combining this technique with some gentle, mindful breathing or a brief body scan first can provide additional support to calm the system before you start refocusing.
Good synergy there. And finally, for managing a racing mind, there's a very gentle way to occupy it without causing stimulation. Reviewing the day backwards. This sounds almost meditative in its simplicity.
It is, and its simplicity is its strength. It's a profoundly simple yet remarkably effective technique for many people. To practice this in bed, you simply mentally recall the events of your day, but in reverse chronological order.
Reverse order, how does that work?
You start from the very last thing you did just before getting into bed, perhaps brushing your teeth, turning off the light, putting on pajamas. Then you move backward in your mind to what you did before that, maybe reading, watching TV, having dinner. Then backward again, the commute home, your last meeting at work, your lunch break, your morning routine, getting out of bed. You go as far back as you can remember, step by step, in reverse.
Like rewinding a tape of the day.
Exactly like that. The key here is to simply recall the objective facts and actions of the day, almost like reviewing a film reel in reverse, without getting caught up in judgment, analysis, or emotion about those events. Just the sequence.
No dwelling on the should-haves or worries.
Precisely. This structured, somewhat mundane recall provides a neutral mental focus. It prevents your mind from its default tendency to dwell on worries about things that happened, the past, or anxiously anticipating things that might happen, the future. It subtly guides your mind away from rumination and towards a quiet, passive, observational state, which is much more conducive to drifting off to sleep.
That sounds surprisingly calming. Okay, beyond these powerful mental techniques that work directly on our thoughts and physical tension, there's also the subtle yet profound influence of sound on our ability to relax and sleep. Let's talk briefly about how auditory aids can become, as our outline says, the soundtrack to serenity, gently enhancing relaxation and guiding us towards sleep.
Yes, auditory stimuli can truly serve as powerful, often very low-effort complementary tools to the mental techniques we've been discussing. They help create a wonderfully conducive environment for sleep. It's interesting because your brain is constantly monitoring for sounds, even during sleep, scanning for potential signs of threat.
Even when we're asleep, wow.
Yes, it's part of our survival mechanism. So, providing consistent, non-threatening sounds can be incredibly helpful in allowing your brain's vigilant system to truly relax and disengage. These sounds act as a sort of soothing buffer to the unpredictable noises of the world outside, helping your mind settle and feel secure.
A soothing buffer, I like that. So, things like relaxation music and what's sometimes called brainwave music, how do those specifically help create that soothing environment?
Slow, soft, calming music, often specifically composed for relaxation with simple melodies and no abrupt changes, or specially designed brainwave music, which might incorporate things like binaural beats or isochronic tones designed to gently encourage your brainwaves towards slower frequencies associated with relaxation and sleep, like alpha or theta waves. These create a predictable, calming soundscape.
Guiding the brainwaves. Fascinating.
It acts as an antidote to external disturbances, as one source put it. It helps mask sudden noises and promotes a sense of safety and predictability. Research suggests it subtly improves subjective sleep quality by enhancing deep relaxation and directly decreasing sympathetic nervous system arousal, helping your whole system settle down into a rhythm that's ready for sleep.
So it physically calms the nervous system.
It appears to, yes. It's a very natural, almost effortless way to encourage relaxation with minimal active mental effort required from you. Many people find instrumental music, gentle nature sounds like distant rain, or ocean waves, or even specific sleep stories narrated in a very calm, monotonous voice to be particularly effective.
And then there's the whole category of colored noise, like white noise, pink noise, or brown noise. A lot of people use white noise machines, especially for babies. But what's the specific benefit here for adults trying to sleep, and how does it work physiologically?
Consistent ambient sounds, whether it's White noise, which contains all audible frequencies at roughly equal intensity, often sounding like static. Pink noise, which has more energy in the lower frequencies, sounding a bit deeper, maybe like steady rainfall or rustling leaves, often found more commonly in nature. Or brown noise, which is even deeper and more rumbling, like a powerful waterfall or a low thunder. All of these effectively mask other environmental noises.
Masking sounds, that's the key.
That's the primary mechanism, yes. They create an auditory buffer or a consistent sonic blanket. This significantly reduces the impact of sudden or disruptive sounds that might otherwise startle you awake or keep your brain in a state of alert. Things like a car horn outside, a floorboard creaking, a neighbor's dog barking, a partner snoring.
Blocks out the disruption.
Exactly. By providing this consistent, non-threatening background soundscape, it allows your brain's vigilant system to relax more deeply. It stops your brain from hyper-focusing on every little unpredictable sound, fostering a deeper, more secure feeling sleep.
That makes a lot of sense. And a really crucial practical tip for using any of these sounds with your phone or any digital device right before bed. This seems important.
Yes, this is absolutely paramount and easily overlooked. If you're using a smartphone, tablet, or any device with a screen to play relaxing music, colored noise, or guided meditations, it is absolutely crucial to dim the screen as much as possible, or ideally, completely turn off the screen display.
Why is the screen so bad?
Because light exposure, especially the blue wavelengths of light emitted by electronic screens, can significantly interfere with your body's natural production of melatonin. Melatonin is the hormone essential for signaling sleepiness and initiating and maintaining sleep cycles. So while the audio itself might be wonderfully calming and helpful,
The light from the screen could be undermining it.
precisely, you could be inadvertently undermining the benefits of the sound by simultaneously suppressing your melatonin with the light. Consider using a dedicated white noise machine that has no light, or using a sleep-focused app on your phone that has a blackout screen feature, or simply placing the phone face down well away from your line of sight. Protect the darkness.
Protect the darkness. Good motto. Okay, we've covered so many fascinating and genuinely empowering mental techniques and auditory aids. But as you hinted throughout, achieving lasting sleep improvement isn't just about trying one thing once and hoping for a miracle. It's really about weaving it all together in a cohesive, consistent approach.
Exactly. It's about building a supportive ecosystem for sleep.
So first, let's underscore the importance of consistency and patience truly. The subtle art of practice in all of this.
You've hit on an absolutely vital point there. Learning to quiet the mind, learning to consciously relax the body, effectively using these techniques. These are skills. They are capacities that reside within you. But like any other skill, whether it's learning a musical instrument or a new language.
Takes time and effort.
Exactly. It requires dedicated practice. You wouldn't expect to master the piano or become fluent in Spanish overnight. Similarly, the therapeutic effects of these sleep-focused mental practices typically manifest gradually over several consecutive weeks of consistent practice.
Weeks, not necessarily days.
Correct. So if you try one of these techniques tonight and don't see immediate, miraculous results, please don't be discouraged or give up thinking it doesn't work for me. Think of it more like cultivating a garden. It requires consistent, patient care over time to flourish. The benefits accumulate subtly.
That's a much healthier perspective, cultivating, not demanding. And that idea of trying too hard seems to come back here again, doesn't it? It feels like a recurring theme throughout our discussion.
It absolutely does, and it's such a critical nuance in this practice, especially when you're lying in bed wanting sleep. It's crucial to avoid trying too hard even when practicing these relaxation techniques. That effortful striving, even towards relaxation, can paradoxically increase tension and reinforce that very vicious cycle of sleep effort and anxiety we're trying to break.
So how do you practice without trying too hard?
You approach it with a sense of calm focus or gentle intention. Allow the process to unfold naturally. Observe what happens within you with curiosity rather than judgment or intense expectation. Consistent, regular practice, maybe even doing a short breathing exercise or body scan during the day when you're not struggling to sleep, builds the habit, strengthens the neural pathways for relaxation, and enhances the potency of these methods over time, making them more readily available when you do need them at night.
Practice when you don't need it, so it's there when you do.
Precisely. It's a practice that makes steady, often subtle progress, not one that demands instant perfection. It's all about that gentle cultivation over time.
Okay, and these powerful mental techniques aren't meant to be standalone magic bullets either, are they? Our sources emphasize they're most effective when combined with established good sleep hygiene practices, for a truly holistic approach to rest.
That's exactly right. Mental techniques are most effective when employed in conjunction with other healthy sleep habits. They complement rather than replace established healthy sleep practices like keeping a regular schedule or having a dark room. They work together synergistically. Think of it as ensuring both your internal mental environment and your external physical environment and routines are optimized together for sleep.
Internal and external optimization.
Yes, it's about setting the entire stage for success, addressing sleep from multiple angles.
So, what are some of those key foundational sleep hygiene practices that we should all be gently integrating into our daily and nightly routines to support the mental techniques?
There are several really foundational practices that create a robust framework for healthy sleep. First, and perhaps most impactful for many, is maintaining a consistent sleep schedule. This means going to bed and, crucially, waking up around the same time every day, even on weekends or days off, as much as reasonably possible.
Even on weekends. Ouch.
Within reason, yes. It profoundly helps regulate your body's natural circadian rhythm, your internal biological clock, which governs sleep-wake cycles.
Consistency. What else?
Second, ensure you have a conducive sleep environment. Your bedroom should ideally be as dark as possible, cool. The recommended temperature range is often between 60-67 degrees Fahrenheit or about 15-19 degrees Celsius, and quiet. Comfortable bedding that invites rest is also important. Make your bedroom a sanctuary for sleep.
Dark, cool, quiet. Sanctuary. Got it.
Third, limit stimulants. This means consciously avoiding caffeine, found in coffee, tea, soda, chocolates, and medications, and nicotine, especially in the late afternoon and evening hours. Their stimulating effects can linger in your system for many hours and significantly disrupt sleep architecture.
Watch the afternoon coffee.
Definitely. Fourth, avoid digital screens. Minimize your use of tablets, smartphones, computers, and even bright TVs for at least an hour, maybe even 2, before your intended bedtime. The blue light emitted from these screens is particularly potent at suppressing melatonin production, tricking your brain into thinking it's still daytime.
Put the phone away early.
It makes a big difference. Fifth, establish a relaxing bedtime routine. Create a consistent sequence of calming activities in the hour or so before bed that signals to your body and mind that it's time to wind down. This could be reading a physical book, not on a screen, taking a warm bath or shower, listening to calming music, doing some light, gentle stretching, or practicing one of the relaxation techniques we discussed.
A wind down ritual.
Exactly. And finally, proactively manage stress during the day. Don't let worries pile up until bedtime. Use techniques like the brain dump we discussed earlier, or practice mindfulness during the day, or engage in regular exercise, though maybe not too close to bedtime, to help process stress before it interferes with sleep. This comprehensive approach ensures you're addressing every key aspect of your sleep ecosystem behavior, environment, and mind.
That's a great summary of the key hygiene points. This has all been incredibly empowering, really highlighting the significant power we have within ourselves, within our own minds and habits, to influence the quality of our sleep. But it's also really important, as responsible adults, to know when to listen to our body's deeper needs, and perhaps consider professional medical advice if things aren't improving.
That's a critical point to end on, and it's absolutely a sign of self-awareness and responsibility, not a sign of failure or weakness. While these self-help mental techniques and good sleep hygiene practices can be profoundly beneficial and are often the recommended first line of defense for sleep difficulties.
Right, start here.
Yes. But if significant sleep difficulty persists, maybe you're having trouble falling asleep, staying asleep, or waking up feeling unrefreshed most nights if it persists, despite consistent practice of these mental techniques and strict adherence to good sleep hygiene, then it may genuinely be time to subtly, gently consider seeking professional intervention.
Don't just keep struggling indefinitely alone.
Exactly. This isn't a sign that you failed at the techniques, but rather it's a responsible step towards comprehensive well-being. It acknowledges that sometimes there might be underlying factors at play that require a different level of assessment or treatment.
So what might be some of those deeper reasons for persistent sleep issues that would warrant seeking professional help? What kinds of things might be going on?
Persistent sleep issues can unfortunately stem from a wide variety of underlying medical or psychological conditions that really do require professional diagnosis and treatment. These might include things like persistent anxiety disorders or clinical depression, which often manifest with sleep disturbances.
Mental health conditions.
Yes. Also, chronic pain conditions, arthritis, back pain, fibromyalgia can make it physically difficult to get comfortable and stay asleep. Hormonal imbalances, like thyroid issues or menopause-related changes, can also play a role. Neurological conditions like restless legs syndrome, which causes an irresistible urge to move the legs, often disrupting sleep,
RLS, yeah.
or even respiratory disorders such as obstructive sleep apnea, a serious condition where breathing repeatedly stops and starts during sleep, often accompanied by loud snoring and daytime fatigue.
Sleep apnea needs medical attention for sure.
Absolutely. In such cases, these underlying conditions really need to be diagnosed and addressed concurrently, or sometimes primarily, for true and lasting sleep improvement to occur. Trying relaxation techniques alone might not be sufficient if there's an untreated medical issue.
That makes total sense. And what about specific therapies for insomnia itself?
A highly recommended, evidence-based, non-pharmacological treatment option recommended by experts specifically for chronic insomnia is cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, or CBTI.
CBTI, heard of that.
It's considered the first-line treatment. This therapy comprehensively integrates many of the cognitive and behavioral tools we've discussed today: relaxation techniques, sleep hygiene, addressing unhelpful thoughts. But it does so within a structured, evidence-based framework delivered by a trained therapist. It specifically helps individuals reframe negative thoughts and beliefs about sleep and establish healthy, sustainable sleep-related behaviors and routines. Recognizing when your situation might warrant expert intervention like CBTI or medical evaluation is a really responsible and important step on your path to holistic well-being.
Thank you for clarifying that. It's important to know when self-help is enough and when professional guidance is needed. So as we quietly bring this deep dive to a gentle close, let's just recap the main feeling here. Remember that cultivating a calm mind, learning to work with your mind, is truly central to achieving restful, restorative sleep.
It really is at the heart of it.
The diverse range of mental techniques we've explored today, from the structure of breathing exercises and progressive muscle relaxation, to the gentle awareness of mindfulness and body scans, the creative power of imagery, and those clever strategies for managing a racing mind, they all empower you to actively, yet subtly and gently engage in your own sleep journey.
Active engagement.
It's about transforming bedtime from a potential source of frustration or anxiety into a profound opportunity for deep relaxation and genuine restoration for both your mind and body.
And we truly encourage you, as you listen, to embrace a personalized approach. Experiment gently with these different techniques. Try one consistently for maybe a few weeks to truly see how it resonates with you and its effect over time. Discover what quietly feels most effective for your unique needs and preferences right now.
Be your own sleep scientist, gently.
Exactly. Each person's mental landscape, their stressors, their preferences, they're unique. And your most beneficial technique might even vary from day to day or week to week, depending on what life is throwing at you. The power to cultivate this inner tranquility, this ability to guide your mind towards calm, is truly within you.
So consider this as perhaps you drift off tonight, or maybe reflect on it tomorrow. What if the key to your most profound, refreshing rest isn't primarily found in an external solution like a pill, or in achieving some perfectly rigid, flawless routine? But what if it lies more in the subtle, gentle art of simply allowing your mind to settle, to return to its natural state of calm, just as a still, quiet lake reflects the peaceful night sky without effort?
It's a beautiful image.
The true power, perhaps, lies in cultivating that inner tranquility, that inner stillness, knowing that by doing so you're not just trying to fall asleep, but you are actively nurturing a deeper, more restorative connection with yourself.